Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for all the presentations previously. I've learned a lot about emergency management in different sectors, from cybersecurity to different ways of handling threats or shortages or adverse events that, COVID brought to us all, but things have been ongoing for years. So I think this is a great organization. I've learned a lot just listening to you all. So my name is Jim Jake. I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Corvent Medical. We are a startup ventilator company based out of Fargo, North Dakota. Beautiful, sunny Fargo, North Dakota, nice and warm. So my team on this call is Randy Williams. He's the Global Vice President of Strategic Corporate Affairs. We also have our Area Vice President, Todd Burke, and Chandler Wu, who is our product manager. As a team, we work very closely with different IDNs, so independent delivery networks, hospitals throughout the country, as well as emergency preparedness organizations with departments of health and the government, in helping them with ventilator needs. If you all remember, during the early part of the pandemic, ventilators became a high priority product for many organizations. So we have a mission statement. And our mission statement is to modernize, simplify, and automate pulmonary critical care medicine products and services through a disruptive partner network. Now, what does that mean? Well, back in March of 2020, the US got hit hard by COVID. It had found its way here, and the supply chain found many deficits with different products, such as PPE and ventilators. So the Strategic National Stockpile, which was designed to supply the country with ventilators should a disaster happen, it broke down, and for a couple reasons. The ventilators had not been maintained or serviced, so when they were delivered to the hospitals, they didn't work, or they were not the proper type of ventilator that needed to be used. So the Department of Defense issued a challenge to US companies to come up with a simple, low-cost design ventilator that could be deployed rapidly and simply save lives. Our company was one of those submissions. There was 172 submissions at the time. There was only 5 companies picked. And we delivered our first generation ventilator. Now, at the time, it was a very simple design, what they call a bagger, right? It's a bag squeezer type of ventilator that could just keep a person alive. We pulled back on that and said the world needs something different. The world needs a ventilator that, like all ventilators, that could save a life, sustain life, and wean, you hear the term wean a patient off a ventilator, because none of us want to go on one, but if we do, we want to get off of it. And you have to have the right type of ventilator to do that. But there were many other things associated with ventilators that people found out throughout the pandemic that need a redesign. So we went back to the drawing board, redesigned our ventilator, submitted it for emergency use authorization, which, let's be honest, none of us knew what an EUA was prior to COVID. And now we're all familiar with it, from vaccines to different devices that the FDA issues EUA, emergency use authorization, for. So we commercialized our company in January of 2021. In March of 2021, we received what they call the Critical Care Ventilation Certificate. So that certifies us as an ICU quality ventilator, which goes up against ventilator companies that have been in existence for decades. And this is a company that had only been around for maybe a year. So to get that ISO certificate was a big deal. We got our CE mark, and for using it in a med device, CE mark allows us to market our product overseas. Typically, in all the companies I've been a part of, CE mark takes well over a year to a year and a half. We were able to get that in 9 months. And now we've made our 510K, our FDA registration, for full FDA certification that we'll have in a couple months. We're also on a GPO contract. So a GPO contract means that, hospitals belong to a group purchasing organization. This typically takes well over a year to 2 years to get on a contract like this. We were able to do it in less than a year. And then we decided to move our company to Fargo and are starting, manufacturing there. We are a US made, designed and manufactured company. So everything we do is made in the US. So, we base our model on 3 pillars, right? So there's technology, there's logistics, and there's education. So when you look at emergency preparedness, what do you need? You need technology that works and is reliable. You need logistical scenarios that you're able to solve. In emergency preparedness, logistics is a big deal, as we all know, right? Captain Obvious on that one. And then education. It has to be easy to learn. It has to be easy to be deployed, and it's got to be repeatable. So we came up with a simple yet sophisticated design that met the ICU standard for ventilators at a lower cost of ownership. From a technology standpoint, if you're not familiar with ventilators, typically with a ventilator company, they have their own proprietary disposables, which means you can only use theirs. Now, what did we learn during the pandemic? Back orders, supply chain issues. If the circuits and the filters are on back order, you have a useless ventilator. So we source all of our products in the US, we make them here. But if a hospital has a contract with another manufacturer, they could use that. They could use those circuits and filters and those disposables. So it doesn't limit your use with the ventilator. We have a simple and intuitive workflow. So ventilators are very sophisticated machines that require weeks to months of training to become proficient on it. Ours does not, and I'll show you why. And it's a small, lightweight design for mobility. Typical ventilator runs from 50 pounds to well over 100 pounds. They're very hard to move. They're very hard to store. Ours is 12 pounds. So it's easy to store. It could put it in a warehouse. It could sit on the shelf for years, never get used, not have to be maintained or serviced, and it'll work right out of the box. So from a logistical standpoint, it's very important that we do not require service or maintenance. That's a big deal when it comes to preparedness. We're all dealing with equipment. It's like a car, right? If you don't take care of your car, it's not going to work. So we externalize the components that require service and built them with parts that don't have what they call limited lifespan. It's kind of like your cell phone that dies after 2 years because the parts inside of it start to degrade. Ours don't. Low cost of ownership. Our ventilator is a third of the total cost of ownership for a ventilator. Because of the fact that we don't have any service or maintenance contracts, which is unheard of, and the fact that we're a third of the cost is advantageous in this world right now when you're looking at, one, emergency preparedness budgets, but for hospitals that need backup ventilators or ventilators that can support patients in ICUs once they've hit capacity. And it's designed for day-to-day use. It's not just a storable ventilator that is used for disasters. What we found was hospitals, like rural hospitals, smaller hospitals that have emergency rooms that require a ventilator, or they have smaller ICUs, they're using this for day-to-day use because it works and it's an ICU ventilator. And when they're not using it, they could store it because it's easy to clean, requires no maintenance. And from an education standpoint, people need to learn how to know how to use it. So we came up with a system for training that could be in person, virtual. We have it online. We're able to train a healthcare professional in less than an hour. So we've made it simple, efficient. I don't like the word fast, or fast means that, it's good when you're racing, but when you're dealing with something like this, you need to be efficient. And we've created an efficient training module. So, and you're looking at, just think about a manual when something's not working. You have to leaf through pages and pages to find out what to do next. So we took all of that and put the instructions right on top of the ventilator. So let's just say it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and a healthcare professional just can't remember what they had to do to change a setting. Well, the instructions are right on top of the ventilator, from how to turn off the alarms to how to set up the ventilator. We have a QR code that they can scan with their phone, and the instructions are right there. We provide a manual, but no one has time to leaf through things when a patient's on a ventilator, especially. This has become one of the biggest features of our ventilator, and our customers love it because it makes it easy to use, and that's the trainability aspect of it. So when you're talking about lower total cost of ownership, there's a couple pillars in there. So when you talk about no service or maintenance costs, that means you don't have to sign a contract, that you pay for someone to come and fix your ventilator. What did we learn during the pandemic? Hospitals, healthcare institutions were not letting people in the door if you weren't a healthcare provider. So who's going to come fix your ventilator? Well, if we just simply replace it, that means a lot. So we added a 5-year warranty program that we simply replace the ventilator. We don't send a service tech to go fix it. We don't send you parts to your, repair team. We just simply replace the ventilator with a brand new one. That's unheard of, but it's, lessons that we've learned and what healthcare institutions were looking for. And it could be stockpiled. It could be used for daily use, or it could be used for stockpile. What we learned, again, is everyone's renting whatever they could get their hands on. So when you're dealing with distributors or rental companies, you're getting whatever they have available. And they're in various states of repair, or you're not getting the equipment that you need. They're just getting like, hey, I have this model. If you want it, you could take it. And they're charging exorbitant prices. So it takes that variability out of the way for IDNs. And then our training. Our training has proven to be efficient and effective and works, because we've proven this in multiple healthcare facilities throughout the country, and right now throughout the world, that we're able to prove what we said we were going to do. And the fact that it's designed and built in the United States takes away disruption in the supply chain. We're all watching TV and seeing ships out at sea with products that can't make it to the docks. We don't have that problem. So again, plug and play solution. No proprietary disposables. This could work with a low power requirement. So 25 to 30 watts. Every ventilator out there requires a high power supply. We do not, just because of the design and how we designed this ventilator. It's under 12 pounds. Again, typical ventilators of 50 to 100 pounds. No service, maintenance, 5-year warranty, and easy to train on. Now, what I've asked is, one of our customers that we met during the second surge, during the Delta variant, is Jake Parmentier. He's the emergency management program manager out of Mercy. And we had spent a good deal of time working with Jake in the summer of last year, trying to help him solve his problem. So I thought the best way for that to happen is for him to tell you guys his experience and what went into their decision-making process. So Jake, if you're on, yeah. I'm gonna hand you over the mic.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I'll be brief with it too. So yeah, like Jim said, I'm the emergency management program manager for Mercy, and we're one of the largest healthcare systems in the United States that has 40+ hospitals over the states of Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. So we serve a wide variety of patients. And what the pandemic did for most of us, for us and for most of the hospitals across the United States, it exacerbated a lot of problems we didn't realize we had before. Thank you. I'll go quick, Keith. Thanks. So we were renting over 100 ventilators at our peak time, which ensued a lot of difficulty with training our travel nurses and our respiratory therapists and so on and so forth. We realized that we didn't really have a standardized fleet that we could easily ship back and forth. So what we did is we decided that we need to revisit building a ventilator fleet for Mercy's health ministry. If you can go to the next slide, Chandler. And so what we did is we had a decision-making process where we built an algorithm that was that we were looking to seek an efficient, quality, reliable ventilator that was low cost but ICU standard, and comparing that against renting ventilators. And so what Corvent Respond Ventilator provided us was the ability to pull all of this in. And as you see there, we involved a lot of key stakeholders: respiratory therapists, physicians, nursing, supply chain, and accounting. And the biggest factor was we needed to have a ventilator that was quick to be able to train upon and provide proficient providers. And so the Corvent's Respond Ventilator did that. It allowed us to have successful clinical outcomes with placing it on patients. Didn't require any service or maintenance costs. We were able to standardize an emergency and non-emergency ventilator fleet that we were quickly and efficiently able to ship across our wide ministry's footprint, all while ensuring that our staff could be trained in due time to provide quick, great quality care for our patients. So I know I'm at the time mark now. So that was really all the components that really helped us decide upon going to Corvent Respond Ventilator, along with its ability to really prove as a strong critical care ventilator for us in both non-emergent and emergent times.
Thanks, Jake. If you have any questions or if you need to contact us, this is our contact information on this slide. Sorry if we went over, but thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for being here, Jim and Jake. Seeing no questions in the